Alright, week 2. I want you each to know that I've reviewed your icebreaker submissions, at least up until today. It's Thursday, May 28th. So I am super impressed with the plethora of experience that you guys bring to the table, and I hope you utilize one another as practitioners. That's part of social work, collaborating. I've reviewed kind of what your expectations are of what you would like to learn in this course, and I'm going to be hopefully answering most of your questions and including resources throughout my PowerPoint. So this week we're going to be talking just a little bit about the history of forensic social work, and we're going to be talking about current practice and the role of the worker in a multidisciplinary setting. Okay? So moving into the PowerPoint. Maybe. There we go. So the history of social work practice dates back to the 1600s. Informally. Formally, back to the 70s and 80s. And at that point in time, social work practice was much more individualistic, much more punitive, and as we move into now and today, current practitioners operate on a much more community-based foundation. Levels of social work. Micro right here, meso, and macro. So micro and meso level social work, you're going to be working more so with individuals and families, neighborhood schools, etc. Now on a macro level, you're going to be working on a much larger scale, policy change, advocacy. Now as a forensic social worker, you're going to be working on all of these levels pretty much regularly. And as we move through the PowerPoint, I will explain that a little more thoroughly. Forensic social work today, you will, as a forensic social worker, be involved basically with anyone who's involved in any of these sectors. So child welfare, criminal justice, prison, CASA workers, that would be court-appointed special advocates, child advocacy centers, the CAC centers, and then case management services for clients with legal involvement. Okay? When working in the field of social work, forensic social work specifically, you will be working to assess and advocate for individuals based on the human rights principle. So our basic human needs being met. And you will assess for that in all of these different areas. So for instance, in child welfare, you'll be assessing, in child welfare, you're working to advocate for the child, but you're really working with the family. So you'll first assess, are the child's needs being met? Now, if the child's needs aren't being met, then are the parents' needs being met? So it's a collaborative process, and in working in child welfare and trying to figure out if the child's needs are being met and the family's needs are being met, you might extend into the criminal justice system, figuring out if they have any legal problems, if they have court involvement. You may be working with CASA workers who may be involved in the case as well. Child advocacy centers, if there are issues of sexual abuse or physical abuse, child advocacy centers might be involved. Law enforcement might be involved. So that is the multidisciplinary aspect of this kind of work. You're going to be working with a lot of different people. So, in order to adequately help or assist or assess, of course I would do that. Now I gotta figure out how to go back. There we go. Adequately assess and provide services to your families. It is imperative to build an understanding around social justice disparities and how those are implicated by the law and legal system. So I have included here a link to Pastor Edward Palmer. He's he's done a lot of work in the state of Kentucky with the juvenile justice system and with the Administrative Office of the Courts to provide a lot of data surrounding disparity. So give him a watch. Give this link a watch if you have time to, and if you're interested in it. And I know that one of you mentioned that you were interested in disparity and how that impacts and implicates your work as a social worker. It's also important to recognize life course perspective. So life course perspective. So when dealing with, or what, not when dealing with, I hate when people say when dealing with, when working with our clients, our patients, or our customers, consumers, whatever you might call them, you are looking into their history. You're looking at what has happened to them, not what they have done. Now that's imperative. That is a trauma-informed approach. We do not want to approach our cases with a, what have you done? It's more of, what's happened to you? Tell me about your history. What trauma have you undergone in your life? I know that where I'm at now, I work for a hospital, and I am talking to people daily about their substance use history. And it's never, why did you use? It's what happened when you were 12 years old, and I see a pattern of use, right? Like they're 12 and they're using alcohol. They're 12 and they're using marijuana. They're 12 and they're using who knows what, opiates, Percocets, like, you know, whatever it might be. What is it that happened when you were 12 that led you to use all of those substances, just for example? So that's life course perspective. An overview of the court system, federal versus state court systems. I've provided yet another link that I think is really helpful. Go and watch it. Federal court, you're not really going to deal with much as a forensic social worker. What you're going to be dealing with more so is state law. Oh, I did it again. Hold on. So you will most likely be dealing with abuse, neglect, criminal cases regarding physical or sexual abuse. You'll be dealing with neglect, abuse cases in family court. As a forensic social worker, that's what you will most likely be testifying to. Not so much at the federal level. So civil, criminal cases, like I said, divorce, custody, sexual abuse, charges, disputes, and then criminal cases, violent crimes, arrests. That can include, like when you would maybe be involved would be physical abuse situations. Alright, so I've included here KRS statute website. If you click here, you can go and you can review KRS, which stands for Kentucky Revised Statute. That is the current law on how judges, attorneys will proceed on abuse and neglect matters, and amongst a plethora of how cases are handled. So in criminal versus family, this is helpful for me to understand. So family court, that's probably where most of you will find yourself, in family court, dealing with abuse, neglect matters. Criminal court, you may be working more so with police officers, and as a social worker, you may appear as a witness in a criminal case, but the police officers and probation officers enforce compliance. Now, in family court, the social worker is who would enforce compliance and report to the Commonwealth if someone is not being compliant with their court orders. So the process legal system, initially a petition will be filed, an arraignment will be held. The judge will either grant the petition, dismiss it, or refer it to the cabinet for further investigation. After that occurs, they will schedule an adjudication hearing, which is, quote, the trial. That is when a social worker will come to court and be a witness, and we'll get into that. We'll get into testifying later on in the course. Criminal cases, similar. Investigation happens, an arrest might happen, the individual appears before the judge, and decisions are made regarding bond time, time spent before the trial, sentencing. Dang, I did it again. Sorry. And then a trial and a sentencing. So the role of the social worker in the multidisciplinary forensic setting, always bring a strength-based approach. When you're in court, when you are testifying, always be person-centered. Keep in mind that the individuals you're working with, again, go back to the life course perspective, that these individuals are or have been through some major trauma in their lives. Okay, so, oh gosh, sorry. So keep that in mind as you're advocating for your clients. It will help you. It will help you to avoid burnout. It will help you to better advocate for your clients and individuals in understanding that they have been through some major life circumstances. Advocate and collaborate. Learn legalese, right? As you propel into the legal system, you'll start to talk to attorneys regularly and learn their way of speaking. Learn that so that you can understand their language, and that when you're in the court setting and as a witness, you're understanding what you're testifying to and understanding that legal jargon. So broadly speaking, forensic social work, you will be involved in child protective services, the criminal justice setting, child advocacy, and this course is set up, I know it's very accelerated, but it's set up to hopefully provide you with real-world resources to enter into the field and perform at a level that is collaborative, strength-based, multidisciplinary. Alright, so don't forget about your weekly participation assignment due by Sunday. Start looking into your first core assignment. Email me with questions, and I look forward to reading your upcoming assignment.